Hey folks, I've had some people ask about my solar wax melter and how it works. So I'm gonna show y'all what I'm doing today. I've got some old nasty burr comb that I've scraped out of hives and out of the shim area from winter feeding, where they'll build that extra burr comb of a couple inches thick on top of the hive. And so it unfortunately went through a couple of rains, and so it's gotten really nasty. I've got it dried out, and I'm going to put it in my solar wax melter and show you what I'm starting with and what we wind up with. All right, this is about half a 5-gallon bucket of old nasty burr comb. It looks black. There's actually quite a bit of wax in there though. So here's my Broke Boy solar wax melter. It is a foam cooler, styrofoam cooler, with plexiglass or Lexan lid on it, and then tape to seal up the lid and keep air from exiting and keeping it too cool. I'm going to open this up and show you what I've got inside, and it's hot. It is hot. So this is a vegetable steamer basket. In this, I line it with paper towels, and that's what actually filters the wax. I'm going to set this aside because I've got to put the paper towels in it. So once it filters through the paper towels, it goes to this pan that the vegetable steamer just happens to fit into. And then I've got it setting upright in another pan underneath. So basically it's a stand. So that goes there. I'm going to, let's see if I can have you all watch me line this veggie tray. Show if I can here. All right, so I use 3 paper towels. Like that, 3 of those little half-size things, and then I pull one in half and I put it on the edges so that everything that's in there will get filtered by paper towel. And it takes a day for this to heat up and really melt through. It's nasty stuff that we start with, and then what we see that comes out is just amazing. All right, so I'm going to set this basket into... All right, so we're going to set this into here. And then I'm going to fill this up with the nasty black comb. And I'll come back and show you because I've got to use both hands for that. All right, so we've got a good amount of the wax taken out of that bucket. And I've got it into the pot that's going to let it be filtered with the paper towels. So we're just going to take the lid and set it back on top now. Just want to make sure the lid is on well all the way around so it holds in the heat. And you can see through there, and it's going to lower in its height as it melts down and filters out the cocoons and debris. And then in that pot underneath is where it's all going to flow to, and it's going to be clean and ready to use. You can use it to re-wax your frames, you can use it for candles, just anything you're going to do with the wax. If you want, you can filter it again. Older comb like this often comes out a orangey yellow color, so it's not like your wax cappings. Those are going to come out a lot lighter. If you do want your wax to be lighter, you can run it through the solar wax melter a second time, and the sun will actually bleach out some of the color from the wax as it melts and is filtered the second time. All right, we'll come back and show you how the meltdown goes. All right, we started this experiment about 2 o'clock, and so we're about 30 minutes in, and we've got a lot of condensation that's forming inside the plexiglass here, so it's kind of hard to see inside, so I'm going to try to get in an angle, but it is starting to melt in there. I think you're getting a reflection of the clouds. Anyway, it is starting to melt, and so we'll check by here throughout the day. I anticipate probably this afternoon, depending on cloud cover, being able to pull this out and pour it into molds. All right, we're into about 2.5 hours now. It's about 4:30, and we started at 2 o'clock. So we're going to take this lid off. Man, there's a lot of steam coming out of this. And what I want to do is quickly see if I can raise this up. Man, it's going to be hot, though. Use that as a hot pad, maybe. Okay, it's not really coming through yet, so we do need some more time in here. It's starting to compress. It really doesn't smell that good right now. Like I say, this comb had been rained on, and so it got pretty rank. So I'm going to open up that center section there. We're going to throw the lid back on. Let it build that heat back up. And we're getting kind of low in the sky for the sun, so I'm going to tilt this up so it faces the setting sun too, so we get as much heat as we can in here. All right, let me get this tilted up. Let me get the lid put back on first. Okay, lid's on. And I've got a block I'm going to put under there. A block of wood to help tilt that up. There we go. All right. Let's give it another couple hours and see what happens. All right, we're at 3.5 hours. Started at 2 o'clock. It's 5:30 now, and it is melting down. It has gone down in its volume quite a bit, but there's still quite a bit to go. I'm probably going to let this run through tomorrow also, and that way it can go ahead and get as much as possible through there after it reheats up when the sun comes up in the morning. All right, folks, it is the next day. It's midday. About, I don't know, 3:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoonish. Haven't looked at the clock. Let's take this lid off. We got some old nasty black comb in here. I'm going to get a hot pad so I can keep my hands from burning. I'm going to set this basket off to the side. And there's the mold we're going to throw the wax into. Here's the melted wax. It's just melted down for the day. There's a little bit of solid in the top, but we're going to go ahead and pour it in. Here we've got 1 cube. That's about 3 ounces. And we've got some, looks like some honey or water or something in the bottom of this too. So that'll settle out in the bottom of the mold. And then we'll be able to rinse it off and clean it. And then I'll use a paper towel and just wipe out the bottom of the melting pot there. We'll get the last little couple of drops and remnants. And then I'll be able to run that through again after I rinse off what settles to the bottom. I'll let this set for the day. And then come back in a few hours. I'll set it in the shade. Maybe take it inside. If you take it inside, it cools a little quicker, but sometimes it develops cracks in it. So if that doesn't bother you, then you can bring it inside. Otherwise, I just set it in the shade and let it cool slowly, and that way it does not have the cracks. And look, we're attracting, the scent of that is attracting bees. So what's here? What's the use for all this leftover cocoons and stuff? It's still impregnated with some wax, and in the filter paper towels, those are impregnated with wax. Those are fantastic for fire starters for your fire pits in your backyard or when you go camping. All right, so now that we've got the wax poured, I've got my next batch of nasty old comb that's going to be filtered. So we'll put that into the container with the fresh filter, paper towel filters. Alright, so there's another bucket of old wax. Now this is a little more yellow to it starting out, so it's looking a little better. It's probably going to wind up in a little better color. This is a lot drier than what that first batch was that we just did, so we probably won't get any liquids in it. And we're going to set it in here. Face it towards the sun, get our lid on, and let's get that lid on so it can start heating up again. There we go. And we'll get our next batch of wax. Oh look, there's the fire pit. This isn't the shade, but it will be in a few minutes. So we'll go ahead and set this here, and that'll solidify this evening. And I'll pop them out, rinse off the bottoms. I'll show that too. Alright, we're in the kitchen now, and I've got the little bit of wax that was extracted and filtered, and look at that. So that's probably old cooked honey in water from the rains that didn't get dried out before I sent it through the wax melter. So that's just old dark liquid. I'm going to turn on the water, rinse it out, and this will be ready to put in that filtering, and this will be ready to filter through the solar wax melter a second time. Let's look at this next one. Actually, let's pour the liquid out first. Yeah, that's old, like honey-ish. So, oh, I just got water in the other ones. So we're going to pop this out. Yep, more liquid. There we go. I'll rinse that off. This one I think was all wax. I don't think we had any liquid in there. Yep. Very little. So we've got a little bit of wax residue in bits. So it's pretty clean. It's clean enough to put onto frames, to re-wax frames. If it's going to be used for anything else, you want to filter it once again. A little bit of debris in there. I would say second filter and I'll get that clean.